Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive, this time into what makes a role model really inspirational. We've got this speech script. It really dives into the whole idea of role models and what makes someone truly worthy of looking up to.
Yeah, this speech, it goes beyond just like, famous people. It
Yeah.
really makes you think about, those deeper qualities, what makes someone truly inspiring and how can we be impacted by that? How can we use that in our own lives?
It's not just about like fame and fortune, right? I mean, they bring up Mahatma Gandhi as an example.
Right. Gandhi's a great example because he didn't have a lot of outward, trappings of success. But his influence stemmed from something much, much deeper.
Yeah.
His commitment to nonviolence and justice. And it really sparked a movement that had incredible impact.
It makes you think about what was it about his approach that was so impactful?
Well, the speech talks about how his strength, it really came from a place of deep conviction. It wasn't just about avoiding conflict, but about actively resisting oppression and doing it in a way that upheld the dignity of everyone involved. And that really resonated with people who were looking for, a different path, a way to fight for what they believed in without resorting to
So
violence.
it's not just about the principles themselves, but the actions, right? Like how those principles are lived out.
Exactly. And the speech goes on to talk about some other, really key traits of inspiring people, like resilience and courage.
They use Malala Yousafzai as an example for that one.
Yeah. And what a powerful example she is. I mean, her story is just incredible. It really shows, the power of standing up for what you believe in, even when it's dangerous.
I mean, facing danger and then going even further after something so horrific happens. It's amazing.
Her resilience, it went beyond just surviving that attack. She used that experience to amplify her message and became an even stronger advocate for girls' education.
Wow. And speaking of overcoming adversity, the speech also highlights integrity and honesty. And of course, they talk about Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, Mandela's a fascinating example because think about it. He spent 27 years in prison and then he chose reconciliation over revenge. It says so much about his character.
It's incredibly powerful. It would have been understandable to be angry and resentful after all that, but instead he chose forgiveness and unity.
And it's one thing to choose forgiveness personally, but to actually lead a nation towards reconciliation, that's something else entirely.
What do you think was key about his approach there?
What's interesting is that Mandela seemed to understand that true justice wouldn't come from just punishing those who'd done wrong. It had to come from, addressing the root causes of the conflict, the systemic inequalities. He knew that to really heal a nation, it would take more than just retribution.
He was thinking about the bigger picture, the long-term well-being of the country. And I guess that leads us to another big trait they talk about, empathy and kindness.
Absolutely. And for this one, the speech uses Mother Teresa as an example, highlighting, her unwavering dedication to serving the poorest and most vulnerable people.
It's easy to talk about kindness, but to actually live it out day after day, to dedicate your life to others, that's a whole other level of commitment.
And that's what makes her story so impactful. She didn't just, provide for people's basic needs, but she recognized their inherent dignity and worth as human beings. That's real empathy.
It makes you think about how you can bring more of that into your own life,
It really does. Even the smallest acts of kindness and understanding can make a difference.
for sure. And then there's determination and hard work. And for this, the speech talks about Helen Keller. I mean, it's hard to even imagine what she must have gone through.
It's almost impossible to grasp. Yet she accomplished so much. Her story really reminds us that, our limitations don't have to define us.
And she didn't just overcome her own challenges. She went on to advocate for others with disabilities,
Mm.
pushing for inclusion and understanding.
Exactly. She used her experiences to pave the way for others. It's incredibly inspiring.
And finally, the speech wraps up this whole section on traits with vision and leadership. And they use Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam as an example.
Kalam was brilliant, not just a scientist, but a visionary leader. He inspired India to embrace progress and innovation, and he truly believed that India could become a global leader in science and technology.
It's so powerful when a leader has that kind of vision for the future and can get others to believe in it too.
And what's interesting about Kalam is that he understood that true leadership, it's not about holding all the power, it's about empowering others. And his vision for India, it really resonated with people, especially young people who are looking for a brighter future.
So we've got all these amazing people embodying these inspiring qualities, but what's the real impact? How do they affect us in our own lives? That's what I'm curious to explore.
That's a great question. And what's fascinating is that these role models don't just, inspire us, they actually expand our perception of what's possible.
It's like they show us that we can do more than we thought we could.
They demonstrate that we can overcome huge obstacles, break down barriers, achieve things we never thought possible.
They give us permission to dream bigger, right?
Exactly. And the speech brings up a really interesting example to illustrate this point, Serena Williams.
Oh, I'm interested to hear about this.
Because her story, it's more than just athletic achievement. She's a symbol of perseverance, right? Breaking barriers in a sport that's, historically been dominated by certain groups. And she's a powerful advocate for gender equality.
Right. It's not just what she's achieved on the court, but her overall impact.
And that reinforces the idea that role models, they can be multifaceted. They don't have to fit into this perfect little box. It's the totality of their actions, their values, their impact that really makes them inspiring.
So it's not about finding one perfect person, but about recognizing these qualities in different people.
Absolutely. And the speech actually highlights something really important here. We don't always have to look to famous figures for inspiration. Sometimes the most impactful role models are the people we interact with every day.
That's a great point. We can get so caught up in admiring those in the spotlight that we forget about the amazing people right there in our lives.
Exactly. Think about it. Those teachers who went above and beyond, the mentors who guided you through tough times, the friends who always have your back, those people, through their everyday actions and their belief in you, can have a profound impact on your life.
The speech actually says that we might be a role model to someone without even realizing it.
It's an interesting thought, right? That ripple effect of our actions, the way we treat others, the choices we make, they can have an impact and inspire people in ways we may never even know.
We're all connected and influencing each other.
That's it. And that brings up the question, how do we step into that role model space more consciously? If we have this potential to inspire, how can we actually cultivate those qualities within ourselves?
And that's what I'm really excited to dig into next. The speech actually gives some really solid advice on this. So we've been talking about how we all have the potential to be role models, and I'm really curious about how we can actually make that happen. How do we develop those inspiring qualities in ourselves? The speech goes into that, some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it doesn't focus on, some big grand gestures or some perfect ideal. It breaks it down into things we can actually do, starting with living with purpose.
Right, finding that thing that really lights you up and going after it wholeheartedly.
Exactly. It's about aligning your actions with your values, not just going through the motions, and that authenticity. That's what inspires other people. When you're genuinely passionate about something, it shows.
And it doesn't have to be, saving the world or anything. It could be volunteering in your community or even just pursuing some creative hobby.
Right. It's about finding that thing that gives your life meaning and letting that guide your actions.
The speech also talks about leading by example, which sounds simple enough, but it's probably harder than it sounds.
It is. It's one thing to talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk too, It's about really embodying those values you believe in your everyday interactions, your choices, how you respond to challenges.
So consistency is key,
Mm.
making sure your actions line up with your words. And that brings us back to empathy, which we talked about earlier.
And the speech emphasizes showing empathy not just to the people we're close to, but to everyone. It's about being kind, understanding, and willing to help out.
And it doesn't have to be these big grand gestures, right? It could be just listening to someone who's having a hard time or offering a few words of encouragement.
Exactly. Those small acts of kindness, they really can make a difference.
We also talked about resilience, and the speech really hammers this home as super important for anyone who wants to be a role model.
Yeah, because setbacks and challenges, they're a part of life, but role models show us that we can bounce back from those tough times, we can learn from our mistakes and come out stronger on the other side.
It's that never give up attitude, that grit and determination.
And it's not about pretending like those challenges don't affect us. It's about acknowledging them, dealing with them, and then figuring out how to move forward.
And I love how the speech talks about inspiring through action. It's like a call to not just sit on the sidelines, but to get out there and make a difference.
It's a great point because it reminds us that we all have the power to make things better, whether it's in our families, our communities, or even on a global scale.
So don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Just start where you are with the people around you.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the choices we make, what we say, what we do, and remembering that we can inspire others in so many ways.
And the speech ends with this powerful question: who will you inspire? It really gets you thinking.
It does. It shifts the focus from admiring other people to realizing our own potential to make a difference. It's like an invitation to become that role model and to think about how we can use our own unique gifts and talents to inspire those around us.
It's a reminder that you don't need to be famous or have some big platform to make an impact. It's about how you live your life, the values you embody, and the way you treat other people.
And that impact can be so powerful, even in small ways. A kind word, helping someone out, a little encouragement. those things can have a lasting effect on someone and inspire them to be better.
I love that we all have this ripple effect, and that even the things we might think are insignificant can actually make a big difference.
It's empowering, isn't it, to realize that we don't have to wait for permission or recognition to make a difference? We can start right now, right where we are.
And what really stands out to me is that this speech doesn't tell us exactly how to inspire. It leaves that up to us. Like it's an invitation to find our own way to make a difference.
I agree, and that's what makes it so powerful. It's an invitation to embrace who we are, to explore our passions, and to figure out our own unique way to leave a positive mark on the world.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into inspirational role models, I'm feeling really hopeful, like there's so much we can do. What about you? What's resonating with you the most from all of this? It's pretty amazing to think about all the ways we can make a difference.
It really is. And you know what I find interesting is the speech doesn't just talk about the impact we have on other people. It also talks about how striving to be a role model can change us too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Like when we really try to live by our values, to act with integrity and compassion, to show up for other people, it changes something inside of us.
We end up inspiring ourselves in the process.
Exactly. And that inner transformation, that's where real change starts. It's about aligning our actions with what we want to be and becoming the kind of people we admire.
It's a good reminder that being a role model isn't about being perfect. It's about trying to be the best version of ourselves.
And that journey of self-improvement, it can be really motivating.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And it's a journey anyone can take, no matter who you are or where you come from.
We all have the potential to grow and change and to inspire others by doing it.
And you know what's really cool about this whole idea of role models? It creates this ripple effect.
Right. When we inspire someone, they go on to inspire someone else, and so on and so on.
We're all connected, each of us playing a part in creating a more positive world.
And that's a powerful thought. Our actions matter. Even the small things, like being kind or brave or doing the right thing, they can have a huge impact.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what are you taking away from all this? What are your thoughts on inspirational role models?
For me, it's like a renewed sense of purpose and a reminder that we all have the ability to make a difference. It doesn't matter what we do or who we are.
I totally agree. And I hope this conversation has inspired you to think about who you will inspire.
The world needs more good people,
Mhm.
more kindness, more empathy, more courage, more people willing to step up and make a difference.
So go out there and be that inspiration. Your actions matter, no matter how big or small. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.